Good day, Screaming Howard's members. I thought I'd take you to school a little bit today. Just chilling here in an empty classroom, and I was like, you know what? I haven't made my commissioner message yet, so better get on it. This is my mechanical engineering classroom. It's very expansive, and when it's empty, it's a great place to study. Let's look at some of the fantasy results from this past weekend. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving break. I know I did. It was great being with family. I'm getting to get to watch some good football too. There was 3 great games on Thanksgiving Day, and I know I really enjoyed them. And it's a good alternative to a food coma if you could avoid that. We had some pretty decent fantasy matchups. A lot of upsets. Right now, I don't know if you guys have been able to take a look at the standings, but we've got 4 pretty much cemented playoff teams. Our 4 playoff spots are pretty much already in the bag. Walter and Mason are going to go from David, and Al and Chad are going to go from Goliath. On that note, 3 of our 4 playoff teams lost this past weekend, so that was kind of surprising. Not really entering into this final stretch here, week 13 and week 14, on good notes, with the exception of one member, which I will talk about in a little bit. But let's go through matchup by matchup. In really a very unnoticeable contest, David beat me by 5. Kind of sums up my season. I just couldn't get it done. Philip Rivers, another bad week. I don't know. My team's never been able to get any momentum this year, with the exception of I did have a random 3-game winning streak, but I think that was more due to bad opposition than anything else. So David improves to 5-7, but he's out of the playoffs, so it doesn't really do a whole lot for him. In our first upset that we had, Jeremy defeated Walter. Walt drops to 9-3. That was a 114-87. Walter kind of hopes that that's an insignificant bump in the road. Hopefully he can get back on track this coming weekend. But strong showing the team that I think is throughout one of, if not the elite team in the league. Wayne beat Al 109-104. That was a big game for Wayne. He had been struggling pretty much all season long, really, and so this was a big win for him. It kind of sets Al back. Al's one of those teams that's going to the playoffs, and so it was a close matchup. Al's got a big game coming up this coming week. I'm going to discuss that in a little bit. But he's hoping he can get his Patriots connection back on track and get a win there. Brad defeated Chad 94-71. It's a bad showing from Chad. Nobody really showed up on his team, and Brad, solid 94. Not spectacular, but when the team you're playing decides to take a week off, it doesn't take a whole lot to win a fantasy matchup. So, again, another bump in the road for a playoff contender. Chad hopes that it's just a 1-week deal, and he can get back on track this coming week. In our biggest result of this past weekend, Mason crushed Cody 158-70. Cody's lackluster showing earned him his 3rd straight snowman. For those of you Screaming Howard's history buffs, that's the very first time in league history that a manager has been awarded the snowman award 3 weeks in a row. So Cody getting into the record books, perhaps not in the best context, but it is history nonetheless. And Mason, almost more notably, with a 158, a huge showing from him. As I said in what I posted about it, this would have been a league high score record had Walter not gone for 175 earlier this season. So big time numbers from Mason, and it couldn't have come at a better time. He's trying to chase Walter down in the David division, currently behind by 1 game. He's cutting the gap, and now this coming weekend he's going to get a shot at Walter personally, and that'll be a big matchup. That's going to be our matchup of the week coming up. So those were the results. Side note, Mason gets a crucial beast for that performance. Not really a side note, that's big news. So congratulations, Mason, for that crucial beast, and Cody gets the snowman. So both awards coming from the same game there. We had no Nostradamus. Everybody kind of slacked on the predictions, even I did. I didn't get mine in time. Only Walter and Al posted predictions this past week, so let's try to get some more league member participation on that front. I'm just as guilty as the rest of you, so I got my picks in early this week. I'm going to talk about them in a second. Let's go to week 13. some big matchups here. Two very notable ones, because we have our 4 playoff teams squaring off. What are the chances of that? At least in my mind, that's pretty cool that it worked out that way. I'm really excited for this coming weekend. There's going to be some huge showdowns in the Screaming Howards. I'm going to go through the 3 other matchups that don't mean quite as much. Sorry to those owners and myself that are kind of out of contention. But I'm going to talk about those first. First off, we got me and Cody. Cody's, like I said, he's dropped 3 in a row, and he's gotten 3 snowmen for those losses. So not looking too hot right now. And I think that I actually might be able to get a win against him the way things are going. So I'm hoping maybe to, I don't know. I don't want to lock up the first pick in the draft before the last week of the season. That would be pretty embarrassing. So I'm hoping for a win this week. Wayne and David, another losers matchup, as you might say. David's been playing kind of quietly well lately, a 2-game winning streak. Wayne's also won last week as well, though. So both teams kind of coming in, been doing well lately. I think David takes this one. On paper, Wayne's teams just never seem to look that impressive. Sorry, Wayne, but I just, Michael Vick hasn't really panned out for you in that trade. He's been injured, and that's just unfortunate. But I think David wins that matchup. Finally, we have Jeremy and Brad. This one I couldn't really decide on. Both teams look pretty even. You look at the preview, and nothing stands out to me as that's a distinct advantage for that team or anything like that. So I picked Brad, but it was basically just a pick-em matchup, flipped a coin essentially. Now, in one of our very notable matchups this week, Al gets a shot at Chad, or Chad gets a shot at Al, whichever way you want to look at it. We have 2 and 8 and 4 Goliath teams. That's a big matchup. Whoever wins this matchup obviously jumps into the lead in the Goliath division. And if things work out well in the other matchup, they will actually be the number 1 seed going into the final week. So, a final regular season week. So that'll be big for them. Personally, I predict that Al wins. Brady and Gronkowski and the rest of his Patriots are going against the Colts, who are the league's worst team right now, easily. And I think that Brady has a field day, and I think Gronkowski gets in on a lot of that. Though Chad will have a good showing as well, I have faith in that. I think that in the end, that matchup is going to make the difference in that one. And then in our matchup of the week, we have Mason and Walter. This is big. Top 2 teams in the David division. Walter currently has a 1-game lead, but he's coming off a loss. Mason's coming off a win. Mason's hot lately. Just came off a 158-point performance, as I talked about earlier. And this is his chance for revenge from week 4, where Walter beat him 151 to 142. That was one of the highest scoring matchups we've had. Well, it was the highest scoring we've had this season, and one of the highest scoring in league history. Great showdown, and I expect the same here. I expect some real fireworks. And hopefully it'll come down to a Sunday or Monday night game. We'll see how that goes. Personally, I'm predicting Mason. I want to see 2 9 and 4 teams atop David going into the final week. That's gonna be fun to watch. So those are my predictions. I think just for kicks, I say Jeremy gets the snowman, and that's what I think about week 13. About the commissioner election, officially the primaries are closed. So if you wanted to run, I'm sorry, you missed your chance. Right now we have 3 candidates. Me, the incumbent, Mason, decided to run early in the primary stage, and then Walter declared his candidacy just the other day via some league member backing. Maybe got his confidence up. And so we're looking at a 3-horse race here. Officially, the campaigning is open for business. For the next 2 weeks, we will entertain any campaigning via a candidate's own discretion can go on the league message board. Really, there's no restrictions to campaigning in this league. If you want to go talk to people in person, we kind of frown upon monetary gifts and things of that sort, but we don't really have anything like that written into a league constitution banning that type of thing. So maybe Mason will get his flyers on again like he did in the election 2 years ago. But really what we want is we want to hear from you league members. We want to hear about what you think are the important issues, what you think the next year's commissioner needs to address, and you'll get to hear from all 3 candidates on that front. what our opinions are, ideas are, and hopefully that'll help you form a good idea of who you want to vote for come the election in the first week of the playoffs. Or not the first week of the playoffs, excuse me. Actually, it would be the first week of the playoffs. Week 15 is when we'll have the election. So I'll keep you guys posted on that, and happy campaigning to all three candidates, including myself, I suppose. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the football, and I hope to talk/see many of you soon. Take care.